Well, hello and welcome back to Read Becca. It is time once again for my weekly chatty catch up on everything I've read, everything I'm currently reading, and everything I'm looking forward to reading, as well as some general lifey chit chat. And this is going to be a quick one because I'm running out of space on my phone. And I don't have a ton to talk about, thankfully. So I did finish some books this week. First up, I finished Gardening Can Be Murder by Marta McDowell, How Poisonous Poppies, Sinister Shovels, and Grim Gardens Have Inspired Mystery Writers. So I think if you're a more prominent mystery reader, you might get more out of this. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's going to stick with me massively. This is definitely in the sort of section of nonfiction microhistory, but there are kind of two ends of that spectrum. One is deep dives into a very narrow focused topic, or they can be very shallow, broad survey of information type of nonfiction. And that's what the latter is what this is. So you're getting a couple sentences to maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs on a given topic. No deep dives, you're just sort of skimming the surface of this topic. And so we're flitting through topics everywhere from the garden being a location in the story, a garden or plant item being the motive or the murder weapon, or toward the back we have authors who themselves were gardeners. So Agatha Christie does prominently come up throughout all of this, and I certainly would say this leans toward more classics versus contemporary, definitely. And I think this was really lovely and enjoyable to read, to have all of that context and lots of books and names that I'm familiar with, but not a ton that really was massively additive to me as a reader, because I hadn't read a lot of the series that are in here. So I think that the way it was presented is really great because it is very easy and accessible to jump through, and it's full of factoids. I think that was the enjoyable part, but it's got lots and lots of illustrations all through this. So we also have like full page chapter fronts. So every single chapter has a cool picture, and then we have just random art throughout. In the author section, where we have authors as gardeners, you get an actual photo there. So I think the presentation of this was lovely and fit well for the type of book that this is. But again, I don't think it's going to be super memorable for me beyond just having those curious factoids that I got out of it. I do think that as someone who hasn't read a lot of these books, for the ones that I have read, I felt the author was trying to be very cautious about spoilers and go around those where they could. But I would assume very much that for the most part, with murder as motive or weapon, you're probably getting spoilers. But for the most part, it felt like the author was trying to be respectful of that and not just diving wholeheartedly into spoiling all of these books. So it does stay very light on information about the stories because of that, which ultimately is fine. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but not ultra memorable. The other thing that I finished this week to talk about is The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdottir, and translated from Icelandic by Mary Robinette Kowal, a very well-known sci-fi writer and fantasy, I think. So this was an interesting book. And I guess I'll start with the sort of content warning aspect, because I had known there was some animal cruelty in this and was really trepidatious about going into it because of that. But for me, it was definitely manageable. It was not extreme, and my feeling is that basically it was as minimally described as could be possibly done without just omitting it entirely. So yeah, I felt it was manageable for me as someone who's very sensitive to that. So as far as the story, this is a really intriguing one because we're in a very, very short story following a woman who has been feeling these things in her body. She's extremely tired. She's having these aches and pains that she can't explain, that aren't explained by her day to day, and she is seeking medical help, trying to find out what's going wrong with her. And then she gets a smartwatch and finds out she has been racking up tens of thousands of steps at night, and she doesn't know what is going on. But it is told in these very short, sharp fragments, and yet most of it is focused on her normal day-to-day. It's her going to work and feeling the tiredness and being concerned the whole day at work what is going wrong with her, hearing from medical professionals that everything is fine, that you don't have anything wrong with you. and the frustration of that, but then going back and forth between wanting to pursue something in terms of figuring out what the heck is wrong, but then also feeling that shame of, well, everyone's telling me I'm okay, so shouldn't I just be happy that I'm okay? And so this has so many incredible moments to do with that. And like even just the opening scenes involve her having seen a doctor who she really didn't like and was just very dismissive of her, and then her advocating for herself and seeking a different doctor and having this positive experience with them, and then also feeling a weight of guilt and mixed feelings internally and withdrawing a little bit, not wanting to be totally open because she feels she's done something wrong in going to see this different medical professional, and just the complicated baggage that surrounds especially being a woman seeking medical help. But I loved this sentiment that she voices here, because there's nothing worse than having unexplained symptoms, feeling like there's something terribly wrong, but nothing that can be measured in exams, and you know the doctor thinks it's all in your head. I stare at my reflection, reminding myself, of course, that it could be much worse. The tests came out well. I should not be disappointed. I should feel relieved. You should feel happy, I hiss at the mirror. So I love those internal aspects, and that's so much of this book is very introspective. And it also, to what I said, it's like very, very short little segments. Some of them are just a single line in a chapter. So even this looks very short, and this is the large print, it's even shorter in terms of lots of white space on pages. And because we're being told this story in absences, because this woman is waking up and recognizing that something happened that she was not present for, and she doesn't know what that is. And so she's spiraling all day, and that's the suspense and dread of it, is the unknown and the gaps in what we're seeing. And this is so full of foreshadowing that I don't think I was surprised by really anything that happened. And yet that builds the dread, I think. I think you know really everything that is going to happen because it is so foreshadowed, and yet it's so effective at building dread with that. It's really, really great in how it's doing that. So in the end, I don't really know that I came away with a clear, defined understanding of what the book is trying to say, because it has two strong layers to it. One being just the plot of the book, and the other being that sort of interpretation underlying it that I feel so much about her day-to-day life is trying to tell us. And I think either that could be talking about chronic illness from the way that she is in her body, feeling her body, knowing something is wrong, but she can't get a diagnosis, and how much she wants that, but internally has so many factors pulling against that, and the way that she feels social pressure about that, even though we don't really see anybody directly place a lot of social pressure on her about it. So I think chronic illness could be a factor there. There's also something else that I don't want to get into because of maybe spoilers, but I feel like processing of grief could also be a factor in interpreting this. So for me, that's what makes this a great book, is that I think there is a lot of layers there to unpack and dive deeper beyond just simply being a straight up horror plot. But it also is a really compelling horror story just on the surface level. So you could read it at either level and I think have an enjoyable good time with this. So I really liked this. I thought it was great. And this has a crazy author story too, where basically the author met Mary Robinette Kowal at an Icelandic convention and like showed her some of the book, and Kowal got so behind it, she basically just made it happen and translated it into English herself. So like it has a whole awesome story at the end of the book too. So that just, it makes me feel like this is sort of the little engine that you want to get behind because it has such a great story too. So yeah, very happy that I picked this up sooner rather than later and didn't let my sort of misgivings about the animal content prevent me from at least giving it a try, because that was much easier to navigate than I had anticipated. So appropriately, speaking of animal things, I did also finish Mercy, the incredible story of Henry Berg, founder of the ASPCA and friend to animals, for my library treasure hunt book. So I will have a standalone video about this coming up. So I think that's it for books. I also did finish my 4th BookTube Prize book, so I'm perfectly on track for where I need to be. And I am working on Middlemarch. I think Middlemarch is going to be my focus for the beginning of this week. I have at least a day before I get the next BookTube Prize book, so maybe 2. So I think I'm going to dive into chipping away at Middlemarch, because that has been still ongoing since March, a little bit at a time. But it's the perfect book for that. It very is the vibe of that book. So that's books. I forgot to note. I forgot my notes. I did finish something, but I don't remember what in terms of watching stuff. So I will push that back to next week, which is fine. As far as life things, 3-day weekend, though I didn't do anything exciting. I very much just enjoyed time off and relaxing. Earl, however, did have a very exciting 3-day weekend. So Earl, my foster cat, has been with me for a couple of months now, and I dropped him off at the shelter to get seen over the holiday weekend, and he did not even last 24 hours. So he has been adopted and is out. So I'm very, very thankful for that, because Earl came to me with some digestive issues that all got sorted out, and now he's well and was ready to go to a home big time. So my cats are all recuperating and enjoying the house, being quiet and annoying little brother free. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. And I will make sure to tack on some footage of Earl in his last week with us, annoying my cats mostly. Yeah, so that was exciting news. I also just had random, regular scheduled things going on this week, but finished out a gaming group that I've had going on weekly for several months now. For a long running campaign. And so I'm a little sad to see that ending this week. That was a really fun time. So now trying to figure out what's going to be next for us after that. We haven't yet decided. And I think that's where we'll leave it for this. I don't have anything exciting to talk about. Recommendations for the week. I do have one. I came across a channel that, like me, posted discussion about the Ursula K. Le Guin Prize. So I was very excited to see that because it's not very talked about on BookTube, sadly. So this was a new channel to me, and it seems, based on their channel age, they are a new channel to BookTube as well. So that is Reading Rover, not Roving Reader. That is also a channel I follow, but Reading Rover is the new channel, small channel that just recently posted about the Ursula K. Le Guin Prize, reacting to that, talking a lot about the topic of the prize and sharing it. And so everyone that is signal boosting that, I'm very happy to hear. Because it's such a labor of love, certainly for this specific niche of sci-fi and fantasy. So anyway, I think that is it for me today. So I will leave you with that and say, I hope you have a wonderful week in reading and in life. And thank you so very much for watching. Earl. Are you being an annoying child? Can you not annoy people, please? There you go. Get off. Put it back on. Goofball.